Welcome back to 5 Acres Honey Farm. I'm Tara Lynn, and we are about to get a really cold night. The first cold night of the fall. Well, not the first cold night of the fall, but the first hard freeze of the fall. And I'll show you around how we prepare the bees and the quail and the chickens for the cold, plus the garden too. I'll give you a quick peek at what I've done over here at the hives. The sun's in my eyes a bit, but you can see I've got all of the feeders just propped up against the front of the hives. I took those off about 2 days ago. It was about 60 to 65 degree day, and it rained yesterday, so I'm just letting them stay out here to dry off, and it's going to be in the low 20s tonight. So I'm going to bring these over closer to the house in the evening, and I will still put them through the deep freezer for a few days before storing them. So what I did was that on the top of all the hives here, this is an empty medium, so there are no frames in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sugar bricks, and I have a recipe for that where I make my own, and I lay that on the top of the frames of this medium, and then this allows for any moisture to get soaked up by the sugar brick. And there is a regular inner cover up here, and it's open, so there's some ventilation, and that helps prevent moisture buildup freezing, which can freeze the colony. So this has been successful for me. This is my fifth winter, going into my fifth winter with bees, and it's been pretty good. I'm going to share a few things that I do here at the coop to help keep the chickens a little bit warmer on the really cold nights. The coop, so I shared with you before, we have a little slidey door in the front. The window is closed. It has a screen, so in the summertime we do keep the window open. They're just all running around like crazy. So one of the other things we have on here is this little kind of vented area. So this folds down in the summer, and there's a strip of hardware cloth that runs the whole length. That's to prevent any snakes from getting in. However, in the summer we really leave that coop door open, so anything can really get in there, but if we were going to close it, that was intended to help protect them from that. And then this whole run, which is 19 by 9 or 19 by 10, so it's a fairly large run. So it's fully enclosed, so their coop is 100% enclosed in here. And then inside here, what I'm going to do is I like to line cardamom. I like to line this whole vent with newspaper, and that prevents drafts. And newspapers are a really good insulator, so I'm going to line this whole section, and I do that right before the first hard freeze of the season, and then when it looks like overnight lows are going to be in 40s and above, then I take the newspaper out in the spring. Here's a look at all the lovely spider webs and cobwebs, but you've got that hardware cloth running along this whole edge, so that's where I'll be putting the newspaper in and then closing that up, and this is what it looks like inside. It's just runs right along that space. I just put 2 pieces of newspaper lengthwise, so I ended up using 6 pieces of newspaper, and it perfectly fits this whole length. Close that up, and that there's still a little bit of light coming up there, so I might poke at that corner a little bit, but otherwise this is totally not draft proof, but at least prevents some more drafts from going in there. So I'm gonna put some more in here. All right, it looks much better. So this will, when they come in tonight, the other thing we do is we make sure we close this, so that way it keeps their heat in here through the cold nights. And then we usually downsize their water sources when it's really cold. So like right now they have 2. I'm gonna dump this at sunset and dump that fountain and bring that in the house. We don't do any heated water sources out here. I check on them, and I'm gonna have to come out here anyway to open that up in the morning, so I'll just bring that full when I come down in the morning. Let's go see where those little Girls went. Hello. This is Marjoram. Wow, it's hard to tell them apart now. That's Mildred. Mildred's looking a lot like Pepper. Yeah, so the other thing that I'll do this evening, just before we put them away, is I'll either put out some scratch greens for them or some warm oatmeal, just something for them to get some calories in them for the evening and get their crops full. And I hear you down there. I hear you down there. And in the morning, like tomorrow, it should be like 21 in the morning. I'll try and keep them in there until maybe like 9 or 10. I'm gonna take a look at the hourly forecast and try to wait till it's a little above freezing, just because it's a little bit more comfortable for them. And you can kind of see poor Princess Cardamom, she's still regrowing all of her feathers. Oh my gosh, she looks so silly. And that will kind of help keep them a little bit comfortable, and they can hang out in there until then. And what I've done, it's been a long time since it's been like a below freezing day. Like, it's been a few years, so maybe some of these chickens, I don't know if any of these chickens have been here for a below freezing day. And what I'm kind of describing is like a day where it doesn't even get above freezing throughout the whole day. Hey girl, what's going on? And what I've had to do with other chickens that we've had in the past is I'll put Vaseline on their combs and really limit their time outdoors and just try to keep them in their coop as much as possible. So tomorrow, once I check the hourly forecast, hey Bertha, they'll probably have a good sleep in, or as those in the UK call it, a lie-in, and hang out inside for a bit. And then when I do let them out, they'll have I started making it over the summer. I think I've got in the freezer or the fridge, but I take bacon grease and I save that and kind of make a suet with their scratch. So that'll be one of their treats in the morning. So it'll get them the calories. You're so mean, Ginger. So that'll give them some calories for the morning and some energy to get through that cold. But it'll be their first taste of winter, which is still a few weeks away. Got Marjoram is finally wanting some attention. She wants some attention. Yeah. And Bertha's getting jealous. What? What? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm topping off their feeders. It's about an hour before sunset. And I want them to get full before the cold night. So I'm gonna give them some snacks here too. Need my hand for this. I started adding, a few more little hidey places where they can kind of huddle and keep warm. So I'm just gonna give them some mealworms. They can hang out. On this side too. And I'll give them some scratch green as well. So what I'm gonna do in about an hour, because it's gonna be so chilly, is that I'm gonna have to pick them up one by one. This is twice as many quail as I had this time last year. One by one, and put them here in their little cottage. So they're gonna stay in here for the night. And they'll stay really nice and toasty in there. So that's all I need to really do for them. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dump their big water tower here. And the same thing with this that I do with the chickens. So I'm gonna dump this and bring it in and bring it back out in the morning full. So this is the splitter. One goes to the garden, the high tunnel, and the soaker hose here. And I'm just gonna make sure there's no pressure in it. And then I'm going to detach each of the hoses. And this is the backflow prevention piece. I'm gonna take this whole section inside with me so that won't be out in the cold. Okay, I'll show you the last thing I do, which is the spigot that's attached to the house and removing the hoses from there. So one thing that's very different about this winter is that since it's my first winter with the high tunnel, I hadn't considered that I will need irrigation in the high tunnel through the winter. That is probably an important thing, right? Because in the past I have just Just saw a car come here. I've just completely detached the hoses for the winter, and now I will need to kind of reattach them after tomorrow. But here's what I do on the house. So this is the setup. This goes out to the garden. You can see should have taken my jewelry off before this. This is for our main hose here, which is kind of utility purpose, and this is for watering the deck plants. So what I'm gonna do is make sure this is fairly empty. So that's pretty much emptying that out. Gonna do this as well, just make sure we're releasing all of the pressure as much as possible from the lines. I mean, these are pretty flexible. Just want to make sure it's all coming out. And this is off, so this is all just the pressure that had built up in the lines. This took a lot longer than expected. There was a lot of water pressure in there, still going. So once that's done, I'm going to detach these hoses and then remove this from the spigot. I needed to get a tool because this kept happening and I was getting my hands kind of cut up on it. So spigot's here, and then I have this little spigot sock, and this is the last little bit that I do. So this is going to get wrapped around here. If you don't have one of these insulated socks for the spigot, I'm going to tie this around when I have my other hand. You could use newspaper and just wrap the newspaper up, but now we'll be ready for the cold night after I get my hands healed and moisturized.